Yes, thank you so much for checking out Breaking Fast. And thank you for sticking around for this Q&A. My name is Desmond Thorne. I am a programmer at NewFest, and I'm so excited to welcome the director and two of the shining stars from the film. Welcome, welcome, everybody. If you want to go around and introduce yourselves real quick, though, we've seen two of you in the film. Start out, introduce yourselves if you'd like. Start with Amin.
Hi, I'm Amin Gamal, and I play Sam.
Yes.
Hello, I'm Michael Cassidy. I play Cal.
Hi, I'm Mike Mosallam. I'm the writer-director.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So first of all, I just want to say thank you for creating this story that is, two factions in the queer community that we really don't see a lot or enough of, which is a queer Muslim narrative, and also not a whole lot of gay rom-coms that are like done as well as this, I would say, that are done with like a lot of filmmaking skill and great acting and just great writing from the heart. So thank you, thank you, thank you for creating this. And I think it's important to, when we're talking about very important issues, to have some levity in there and have it to be like smart levity. So thank you for creating this. And I'm so excited for people to see it and for it to spread around the world. So Mike, what was the genesis of the story? Like, what was the first seed that, grew into Breaking Fast?
I definitely can't answer any questions until you promise that when this is over, we can be best friends. Because I'm so obsessed with your energy right now. And we just would have too much fun. Just like, so, no pressure.
I'm down.
Okay. All right. Just making sure. Okay.
Yeah.
What was the question?
What was the kind of like the beginning of this story? What was the seed that became Breaking Fast?
Interesting what you just said. We don't see enough of it. And we certainly don't see it told in this way. And so much of the impetus to even write this story, and really truly it starts with the short that it's based on. In 2015, the impetus for that was to really tell a version of a story that felt relatable to my experience, to my friend's experience, and I was asked the central question, like, who best represents you in film and TV? And the short answer was nobody, because generally people of faith have a conflicted relationship with the LGBTQ community, and the gays and God aren't always sort of in lockstep. And so, for my privileged vantage point, those things were sort of working in harmony, and I wanted to explore a story that was about that. And that's sort of was how the short started. And then the short sort of had a life of its own, and people were really generous and kind to it. And people were like, we want more of Mo and Cal. We want to know where their story goes, what happens with them. And we started writing the feature, and here we are making our New York premiere, and I couldn't be more excited.
Yes, awesome. And yeah, I always feel like, when we are creators of underrepresented voices, we always want to create these pieces in the hopes that it'll inspire more and more and more.
That's it.
Just giving people more opportunities to give voice to these stories. And I'm wondering from Amin, actually this way, Amin and Michael, what were your first reactions when you read the script?
Well, I am a queer Arab Muslim, so my first reaction was like, I need to be in this movie at all costs.
Yeah.
But also, it was really refreshing to see that intersection of identity, as was said before, treated with so much joy and levity. And the whole movie is like this big celebration of love and of Arab culture. And so I found it really refreshing.
Yeah.
That was my first, I was like, oh, this is so cute. That funny best friend so I can steal every scene.
Yeah. Literally.
And he does. And he
really
does.
do. Like, I was very much blown away by your performance because I think, like you were saying, I don't think I've ever seen a character quite like you on screen before, and it was so refreshing and amazing, and you surely stole every single scene. It was amazing. Michael, what about you? What was your first reaction when you read the script?
You know, it's very similar. I just felt so touched by the specificity of the story, and even though it's not my story on a couple of different levels, it felt very specific to. I immediately understood this relationship, not just Cal, but I understand what it's like to not be able to get out of your own way in the most sense. I understand what it's like to go through a breakup that feels like the end of the world and have it not be the end of the world at all. I understand what it's like to be a best friend who just wants your friend to understand you, and they don't, so you just talk louder and do crazier things to try and get them to understand. All of that. So, not that Amin's whole performance is talking loud, but that's one of the things we try, right? So, so I understood all of that and was so touched that it intersected with all of these things that I had very little exposure to, and that it represented all of them so beautifully and lightheartedly.
Absolutely. And in terms of the script, I'm wondering, you know, when I'm seeing the beginning of this movie, I'm seeing this young queer Muslim man, and his family is like so accepting of him and his sexuality. Had you ever seen that on screen before, Mike, you know, as you're creating this?
No, and also, to be very fair, not very much in real life either. But I think it exists, and there are pockets of it that exist. And I think the more we see it and the more we talk about it and the more that it is there, it will no longer be kind of fantastical. It will no longer be this sort of like crazy notion. It will just be real life. And
Absolutely.
I think that is extremely important, you know?
Absolutely. And that's like the power of media. You know, media really does have so much influence over so many things. And again, seeing this representation, I think, can affect real change and just kind of have like a, what is that called? A domino effect, and just keep seeing it more and more and more. And I'm wondering, Sam, what were kind of some of the similarities and differences that you saw between yourself and the character of Sam?
Well, Sam operates at a much higher frequency than I do. I'm like very, like my blood pressure couldn't be any lower or I'd be dead.
I love that.
Sam is much smarter than me in some ways, wiser.
Fake.
Daring. I would aspire to be the kind of friend that he is, who catalyzes, you know, his best friend finding love.
Totally.
We both like to party.
Yes.
I think there's a lot of similarities, but there's also a lot of differences. And I think there's also a lot of technical things. I mean, he's a three-dimensional character, which you don't often see with the gay best friend. And he's not serving straight interests, which is kind of nice and refreshing. But a lot of it was technical. A lot of it was timing. A lot of it was Mike reminding me and sort of orchestrating the tempo. And, you know, a lot of times Sam drives the scenes he's in. So I just really had to know my lines really well. Basically. and get the comedic timing right, and to mine all the jokes that I could.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering from you, Michael, in terms of playing a queer character, and you are straight, right?
I am a straight heterosexual person in real life.
So do you feel a kind of extra responsibility when you do take on a queer role, like extra care or anything like that, or kind of?
This is the first time that I've played a character that is just like, as far as we know, is straight down the line homosexual. I've worked in gay film and I've had male scenes and connections. Because the way that this specific script is executed, my principal responsibility was more similar in this gig than all the other romantic comedies that I've played with female partners, which is that I just have to fall in love and I, in this case, get to fall in love with this wonderful person who is Oz and Mo and us and the story we're telling and all the people that we told it with, including Mike and Amin, and nothing else. It feels the exact same because I've never had a romantic in film relationship with any of my partners before, my team partners before, and so it's the exact same thing for me in that respect.
Awesome. And as I was watching it the first time and then also rewatching, I was like, yo, there's so much good, delicious looking food in this movie. It all looks so good. Like, I wanted to learn how to make all of it. I love the scenes where Mo is talking to his grandmother to the voicemail and like making food and the kind of connections that y'all have about the food. Because I feel like that's such a way into the soul and a way into love. And the cuisine is, again, different than really what you're used to seeing on screen. Now, when y'all was eating that food, what were some of your favorite things to eat? Because y'all was really eating on the set and everything like that, right? So like, what were some of your favorite things? I'm like, this is for everybody that had a chance to eat.
I want the guys to answer this question, but I want to make sure we state for the record that there was no waste on set.
Good. Glad to hear it.
That food was gone.
Good.
There was no spit bucket.
No.
Good, because it all looked delicious. So yeah, what were some of your favorite dishes to eat on set?
I actually, this is going to be such a lame answer after your tea up, but I have to say that the tea when he and I are alone on the porch was like really good. I'm not a tea drinker, and I was like, yo, this tea is good. But I'm sorry. But Mike will tell you what the names of the things that I ate are, but I'm a meat eater, so I like the chicken things and the lamb things the most.
Ooh, yes.
Lots of kebabs in Cassidy's life.
Yes.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, yes. I love a good lamb kebab. Like, now I'm mad I don't have one right now.
The night is young, Desmond. The night is young.
No, I mean it is 8/16, but it's 8/16 in New York. So therefore, yes, the night is young. I mean, what were some of your favorites?
I didn't eat very much, except I had a lot of fries. My character was really obsessed with fries and ketchup.
Hold up, Amin, because the scene in the mosque, you must have gone through like 17 of those ma'mouls of the cookies that he was eating. You were eating those so ferociously. It was amazing.
Oz the whole time was whispering in my ears like, you're gonna get the worst diarrhea of your life. So these are like Ramadan cookies that are kind of famous. They're very buttery and they have dates, like a date filling in the middle. Usually there's variations. And I wasn't fasting. Clearly, Sam has his own alternative view of what fasting is.
Yeah.
So I remember eating it. It was sort of a gag. You know, mosque just for no reason except that it was funny.
I always, in every scene, I just wanted Sam to have something to eat on. You know, just a munch, always eating something.
I love that.
She has a fast metabolism. What kind of
I love that choice. Well, I mean, you're a runner, so you just, run it off, right? Just, burn those cows. And I'm wondering, one of my favorite scenes in the film is the, I don't want to call it like a confrontation, but the discussion that Sam and Mo have at dinner. I think that scene is so amazing because I don't think I've seen both points of view discussed by two people who are Muslim having the conversation. So Mike, when you go about writing a scene like that, how do you write this scene that gives fairness to both of the characters and to both of their points of view?
I think, like, for me, the that scene is there is no film without that scene because so much of what stands in what makes Mo stand in his own way is his own sort of rigidity and stubbornness about things. And also, if we're being very honest, his privileged viewpoint. Here's our lead character. He is super successful, financially well off, great relationship with his family. He's sort of got it all going on. And the real crux of his issue is his own, his own head, his own issues getting in his way. And I think what is so key in that scene, and also the triangulation between Sam and Mo and Hassan, is that you have this important varied spectrum of the queer Muslim or queer faithful experience, in that people are constantly negotiating how much of themselves they give to their queer community, how much of themselves they give to their spiritual or religious community, and like where they sort of fall along that spectrum. And for Mo, it's really, really easy to sort of be like, yeah, it's black and white. This is how it is. It's, God's not the issue, man is the issue, but Mo doesn't have to deal with the consequence of man who have bastardized things, whereas somebody from Sam's experience, or at least life lens, does, or is hearing about it, or is seeing it. On the other side, you have Hassan, who's the boyfriend, who is leaning against his queerness and saying, cool, I'm just going to culturally go to this side of things and like push this down. And I think being a queer Muslim, like being anything, is not a monolith, and you're seeing sort of a range of spectrum of experiences. And it was very important to have all of those, or some of those perspectives, sprinkled throughout the entire movie, when our central character was definitely sitting in his experience from a place of privilege.
Absolutely. And you're so right. Having a well-rounded perspective, you do get everyone's viewpoint, because I think there's a kind of temptation from an outside point of view, watching the movie for like the first, act or so, and you're just like, well, this guy has it like pretty good. Things are like pretty fine for him. So I think you're right. It's very essential to include a scene like this and include like Sam's point of view and also Hassan's point of view. And I'm wondering, what was it like for y'all this reverse camera? What was it like for y'all to act in that scene? Because like within this comedy, this is one of the heavier scenes, I would say, in the movie.
Amin.
Oh, okay. Well, we didn't have a huge amount of time to shoot it. So I remember we had some like technical tricks. Like we did a lot of reaction shots on their own.
Gotcha.
For me, I don't play genre. I think I don't really know how you do that. I think my favorite comedies are always have some bite or kind of make it cry. And my favorite tragic dramas or tragedies are kind of funny. There's like moments.
Yes.
Which is kind
absolutely
of what life is. So I think
100%.
I was trying to, as performative as Sam is in some ways, and as as technical as some of his jokes are, I always grounded him in some sort of reality of who I am. So it really wasn't hard to do that. And most character annoyed the crap out of Sam, so it was coming. He had it coming.
Absolutely.
I think I used to run a support group for queer Muslims. And something that I thought was really interesting, like people practice on all different levels. Some people called themselves Muslims and didn't practice in any traditional way, and some people practiced a lot. But oftentimes, if you have pain associated with trauma growing up, where you're told this religion says X, Y, Z, regardless of whether or not that's true, sometimes someone practicing the religion or judging you, or if you feel like they're inferring that you should be practicing, can like be very triggering too. So I think that kind of is what happens in that scene as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Before you answer, something about Amin and Haz's performance specifically in that scene that means the world to me is what it looks like when people who love each other as deeply as those two friends do fight, and what a fight between two people who are going to come out the other end of it, but like who feels hurt differently than when like someone less important hurts them, right? The process of that hurt will really allow you to sort of like go for the jugular, like really fast. And I think like watching two people who love each other fight like that, it's almost like a little scary because or sort of uncomfortable because you're like, guys, no, I want you to love each other, don't do this.
Right.
And I think specifically what they're choosing to fight about is already so heightened and sensitive that you know, and in front of the potential love interest of both of whom have not bought into the other for their best friend. So there's just like that, watching the two of those actors really sort of get all of those little nuancy things was the best part of that scene for me.
Absolutely.
Sorry, Michael.
Absolutely. And Michael, for you?
I mean, that scene was very meaningful to me, and it felt like the scene that I needed that I didn't know I was looking for when I read the script and as we rehearsed it and as we were making the film. The biggest thing for me was like, I've been the outsider, in this case, the like white dude who sort of like chips in really meaningfully and just fucking bites his tongue, right?
Yeah.
And I've done that a lot in my life. And the thing that I was having trouble with in that scene is that comes from a well-meaning place. So you have to really invest, even though you know that they're going to cut to 2 reaction shots of you being like, bro, you did it. You know what I mean? Like, you dummy. But my intention in that scene only works if I completely am not aware of that. And it's hard for me as an actor to step back and allow myself to look stupid. And
that's also very real. I mean, in a lot of these situations, you know, people who are outside of the experience come from a well-meaning place. But in the moment while it's happening, it's like, bro, just you over there for like 2 seconds, please. 2 seconds.
I love that moment that Mike wrote in where like Cal says something, and me and Hans like that slow turn and just like, eyes like daggers.
I mean, we've all been there. We've
all been there.
Also, and we don't really talk about this too much, but like Sam's response in that moment is to speak to Mo in Arabic, knowing that Cal understands it. And he's like, I don't give a shit what you know. You don't know what we know.
Exactly.
You are not us.
Exactly. That's amazing. And one last question before we close. I guess this is more specifically for Mike and Amin. What do y'all want to see from queer Muslim narratives in the future? Like, what direction do you want to see them go in, and what do you want to see specifically?
I mean, as I said, you know, the queer Muslim experience is as diverse as any experience or any collection of experiences out there. And I think it's important for me to elevate the storytelling. Let us go to the next level of storytelling that all comes from a very real, authentic, specific place, and that allows people to ask the tough questions and deal with the harsh realities, but also and never forget that there is also joy in life to experience. And it is really important that we not just right now, but just always remember that there is always joy that we can be grateful for. And I immediately recognize that I can say that from my privilege, but I think it is important that through sorrow, we always find place for joy.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean,
I want to see more work that does what Breaking Fast does to an extent, which is transcend the sort of colonial narrative that's imposed upon the tragic gay Muslim. You know,
Michael,
and then explores, and then I want us like in genre. I want like stupid, queer Muslim Western horror.
Yes.
Muslims behaving badly and not being terrorists. You know.
Yes.
Messy Muslims.
Absolutely.
Messy Muslims. There you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
Write it up. Well, thank you all so much. This has been amazing. I'm so glad to have this film in the festival. It is so essential. So thank you all for being part of it. And thank you, Mike, for creating it. I'm so
Thank you.
excited to see where it goes in the future. Thank y'all.
Thank you,
Desmond.
NewFest.
for
Thank you,
having us.
Desmond.
This is
Very,
so
very
fun.
excited.
Yes, thank you. So if you are interested in finding out more information about the 120 plus films in this year's festival, head on over to newfest.org. And you can also find out about our year-round programming as well, because we do this 365. So hit us up. Thank you so much for joining, and be well.